Hello, my name is Pooja. Welcome to another episode of Around the World. You must have heard the names of several wars. However, rarely you would have heard about a war that has been named after a fruit. One such war is recorded in the history of the world, that is the Apricot War. The apricot is called Khubani in Hindi. You will be surprised to know the reason for this war. Actually, the people of the area where this war was fought were well aware of the reasons behind this war. This war was fought for the security of the border and the looming crises on livelihood. The area we are talking about is the border area of Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan. There are several settlements of Tajik and Kyrgyz communities in this area. These communities depend on agriculture and animal husbandry for their livelihood, and they need adequate natural resources, pasture, and water for the same. The story of Apricot War revolves around the basic needs of these communities. Basically, Tajik farmers had planted some apricot trees in the disputed border area. Fearing border infiltration and the capture of the pastures by Tajik farmers, the Kyrgyz people protested and uprooted these trees. As a result, people of both the communities clashed with each other. 10 years later, another war called the Ketmen War was fought between these two communities. These are some of the sporadic incidents that may sound minuscule, but the people of Tajik and Kyrgyz communities keep on fighting with each other on these grounds. You must be thinking that why are we discussing these things today? Actually, the Tajikistan Kyrgyzstan tensions erupted again a few days ago. Recently, a clash broke out between the two countries on the border of Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan. So far, more than 100 people have been killed and thousands of people have been injured in this clash. Kyrgyzstan has stated that it has rescued about 137,000 people from the disputed Batkin region and moved them to a safer place. It is not the first time that such a clash was witnessed between the two countries. Against this backdrop, several pertinent questions arise. Firstly, what is the real reason behind this long-standing tensions between the two countries? Secondly, how crucial is the maintenance of peace and security between the two countries for the stability of Central Asia? Thirdly, what are the implications of the stability of Central Asia for India? We will try to find answers to the above questions in today's story. Let us first of all know about Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan. Let us take a look at the map of Central Asia to understand Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan. 5 countries, namely Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, and Kyrgyzstan, are included in the Central Asian countries. Out of these countries, Uzbekistan is a double landlocked country while the rest are landlocked countries. These 5 countries came into existence after the Soviet Union's disintegration in 1991. Tajikistan is a mountainous country situated in the heart of Central Asia. It is bordered by 4 countries, namely Kyrgyzstan in the northwest, Uzbekistan in the west, China in the east, and Afghanistan in the south. To its north lies Kyrgyzstan, which is a landlocked mountainous country. Kyrgyzstan shares its borders with Kazakhstan to the north, Uzbekistan to the west and southwest, Tajikistan to the southwest, and China to the east. We have understood the position of both the countries on the world map. Now we have to understand that what is the real reason behind the dispute between these two neighboring countries. Actually, there are many reasons behind the dispute between these two neighboring countries. The first reason is the absence of demarcation and delimitation of the border between the two countries. As we have already informed you that the two countries came into existence after the Soviet Union's disintegration in 1991. However, their borders have not been clearly demarcated till now. There are many areas between these two countries where there is no permanent and clear demarcation, and both the countries lay claims to these areas. To understand this, let us look at the world map again. Actually, Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan share a border of about 971 kilometers with each other, out of which about 471 kilometer long border is disputed. The main reason behind the border dispute between these two countries is that both the countries are using two different geopolitical maps. On the one hand, Tajikistan follows the geopolitical map prepared during 1924 to 1939, while on the other hand, the Kyrgyz Republic follows the geopolitical map prepared during 1958 to 1959. The second and most important reason behind the dispute between these two neighboring countries is the lack of pasture and water resources in the border areas. Actually, the rapid depletion of natural resources globally has affected both the global, political and social systems. We had mentioned above that the disputed border areas between the two countries is home to the Tajik and Kyrgyz communities. These communities are dependent on agriculture and animal husbandry, but there is no specific law dedicated to the management of pastures. These communities also fight over water. The two countries share 40 water bodies. Some water bodies originate in Kyrgyzstan and flow through Tajikistan. Kyrgyz farmers complain that Tajik farmers living in the upper reaches of the river use excessive water. In such a situation, Kyrgyz farmers living in the lower reaches get less water. Population growth is also a major factor for the struggles that has been going on for a long time over natural resources in these border areas. The second factor for the struggle is poor infrastructure. All these factors together threaten the peaceful coexistence of these ethnic groups and promote conflict between the two. Now the question arises, how does the stability of Central Asia rest on the establishment of peace in the two countries? The strings of peace and prosperity of Central Asia are largely linked to the mutual cooperation between these neighboring countries. Basically, Central Asia is surrounded by countries such as Iran, Afghanistan and Russia that are facing economic sanctions from the Western countries. Since the Taliban came to power, Islamic fundamentalism is on the rise in Afghanistan. It is being feared that Islamic fundamentalism may also spread to Central Asian countries, as Tajikistan, Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan together share a long border of about 2,387 kilometers with Afghanistan. The third and the most important factor is Russia. Significantly, Russia's economic position affects Central Asia to a great extent, because Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan and Uzbekistan are remittance-dependent economies. The maximum remittance of these countries depend on Russia. Remittances had already declined due to the closure of the Russian border due to COVID-19. Now, after the Russia-Ukraine war, Western countries have imposed harsher economic sanctions on Russia. Consequently, the remittance of these countries has declined by up to 40%. It is clear that the Central Asian region already has external and economic challenges to deal with. In such a situation, the emergence of any new territorial and border disputes in the region will only increase these challenges further. These countries should stop fighting with each other to get a collective representation on the global stage. If there is any breach in the regional stability of these countries, then it will also impact the rest of the countries of the world. Halford Mackinder, a famous British geopolitical thinker of the 19th century, opined that he who can control Central Asia can also control the world. It stands very true in the context of China. Ever since Central Asia, along with Russia, has been facing an economic crisis, China has got another opportunity to establish its dominance in the region. China's presence in the region can prove to be a loss-making deal for the countries that are working on some connectivity projects in the region. Actually, Central Asia has the world's longest natural resources, which are worth trillions of dollars. In addition, energy resources are also in abundance in these countries. Hence, various countries of the world, including India, are trying to establish their hold in this region. Basically, India can meet its energy needs by utilizing the abundance of energy resources present in Central Asia. For this purpose, connectivity projects like Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, pipeline were being implemented. But the geopolitical complexities of the region have hindered the progress of these connectivity projects. However, after Turkmenistan announced the completion of the Tapi gas pipeline project in this year, India has become hopeful again. If the pipeline gets completed, then India-Central Asia relations will undoubtedly get a new boost. Let us note down the question based on today's story. Tajikistan-Kyrgyzstan border dispute can affect the stability of Central Asia, which is also likely to impact India. Analyze this statement. Thank you so much for watching.